Today I am going to touch on the most recent transition in my life on my roller coaster ride, and that is retirement. I have been planning, as most of you are, for some time on what I think my retirement will look like. Unfortunately for me, it was a medical condition that forced my retirement hand a little earlier than I had planned. Being in a safety-sensitive job, the medical condition I had made it so the doctors and myself agreed that it was not a good idea to go back to work. So retirement all of a sudden was at my doorstep. My name is Sandra, and I started this channel and have been thinking about it for some time because I feel like sharing my experiences with people might resonate with them and make me feel like I'm not alone in some of these things that I've had to deal with through my life. So I encourage you to join along as we circle the sun together, share our journey, share our experiences, and possibly help each other along the way. The world is a cruel place, unfortunately, and if we can all help each other just a little bit, it'll be a better place to be. I'd like to throw in a little caveat here. I am in no way a professional. This is not a counseling channel, nor is it giving advice. It is talking about what is going on in my life. If this resonates with you, then, maybe it'll help you. Maybe it won't. Maybe you'll just dismiss it. But this is my way of healing, and possibly somebody else might heal along the way, because you're not alone in these challenges. We all face them. As I said, we all deal with them in different ways. So hopefully this will help me, and if it even helps one person out there, that will make my heart swell with thankfulness, because we do have a lot to be thankful for, even though some days it seems like there isn't too much. Today I'm just briefly going to touch on 3 items that were in the forefront of my transition into retirement. The first is your circle of friends. We spend a lot of time at work. For most of us, we often spend more time with the people we work with than our friends and family. So when that common thread of that employment is removed, unless you are one of the fortunate ones that there is more to that friendship than just the place you work, then that circle of friends, unfortunately, is going to fade. Everybody leaves with the best wishes. Make sure you keep in touch. Don't be a stranger. But eventually, they all disappear. If you have moved on from a career, you've gone through this, and these are the little steps in our lives that, through experience, should prepare us for the future. But when you transition into another job and make another circle of friends, you often lose track of the fact that you haven't been in contact with these other people. So you replace these previous workplace friends with new workplace friends, and you move on. When you go into retirement, then all of a sudden there are not people to replace these workplace friends. I happen to live in a very small community, and when I say small, I mean under 500 people. So it isn't a lot, or there isn't a lot of volunteer opportunities, part-time employment opportunities. So all of a sudden I am faced with all of this time on my hands and nobody to share these activities with. That leads me to my second item that I wanted to talk about, And that is, what are you going to do with all your free time? When we are working, we often have more money than time. When we are retired, we have more time than money for most of us. Some people are very fortunate in that department and they can do whatever they want. So if you do not have hobbies in place before you retire, it is going to be a tough thing to get established unless it happens to be an inexpensive hobby like joining a card club or a book club. If it is something that requires equipment, memberships, that sort of thing, then you have to budget for this because your financial situation has changed. And given the changes in the world in the last 4 years, the cost of living is only going to go up. So that means for most of us that there is less disposable income as we go into a period of our lives where we have all this time and might like to do things. So if travel has always been your choice of activities, all that is getting more expensive, as are your home costs, which leaves less money for disposable choices like travel, hobbies, activities like skiing. The minute you need a membership, there is a cost involved. So as you adapt to that, there is also one other thing that we have to adapt to, and that is my third little topic, and that is, what do you do with all this time? All of a sudden, there are no deadlines, there are no time frames that things have to be done in. So you get up in the morning, you do your morning ritual, whatever that is, walking the dog, having a coffee as you read the paper, meditating, doing exercise, just reflecting. All those things are great. Then it's an hour, 2 hours later, and now what? What do you do with the rest of your day? What I found I had to do is I had to set some arbitrary deadlines. I had to set for myself a time of day that I would be dressed in and ready for the day. If somebody showed up at the door, did I want to be looking like I just crawled out of bed? No. So I set a time that I had to be dressed and ready for the day. I also set a time that I could no longer just be sitting in the house doing whatever I do, whether it be on a device or reading a book or just sitting there. So I set a time that I had to be on the move because, believe me, the first step is the hardest. Once you get up and start moving, then you have that energy that takes you through the day. If you just continue to sit, then before you know it, 4, 5, 6 hours have gone, and all you've done is look at your tablet or your phone or watch TV. So it's very important that you have a purpose, because when employment is out of our lives, then all of a sudden, so is that purpose. As much as we don't like to admit it, who we are is molded from what we do. Our identity is tightly wrapped up in that job. When that job is gone, we lose part of that identity. We have always been somebody's daughter or son, somebody's mother or father, somebody's husband or wife. It is now time for you to know who you are as a person. It was important for me to know who Sandra really was. And sometimes that's very lonely and scary because we're alone with our thoughts. And sometimes those thoughts that we have stuffed deep inside start to emerge. And it's a good time to deal with them, but you can't deal with them all at once. It is a little bit overwhelming. So if you find at this point in your life that they are starting to overwhelm you, it's very important that you go and get professional help. Admitting that you might have to talk to somebody that is unbiased, who is professionally trained in these matters, is not anything to be ashamed of. It takes a lot of courage and strength to say, you know what, maybe I should just go talk to somebody. So as I said, I am not a professional, and I don't claim to be an expert. And please, this is not a guidance channel. I can't stress that enough. This is just the ramblings of somebody that is entering this phase of my life. As I move along through the channel, I am going to talk about a lot of things. Some of them more recent than others. Some go very far back. Some of them are painful. Some of them are very joyous. But I am going to go through them even if it doesn't feel good. Some might be resonating with some of you. Some might be causing conflict.